Save that for next week. Bust it out.
I got it, man. Yeah.
All right, solid. We are going to lay into Arisia. This is a sci-fi convention that comes to the Boston area every year. Frequented by a lot of people. This was actually my first time.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Snap.
crazy.
Arisia version, man. They win no lubrication.
They should have
So
given
we've
them a
got
special
in-house a
ribbon.
couple of.
You
They do
get a
that, they
special. You get like usually they give them to babies because
Okay, no, I'm not getting the
I still
baby
ha- I
ribbon.
still
I'm
have
trying to do
mine.
it in here.
there were plenty of adults who had them. It's like a little pink or purple ribbon that
Yeah.
says "My first Arisia."
I still have mine. I did my first one was last year.
I
And
say
this is
that
my
because
second
I
one.
didn't get one. This was like my third or fourth Arisia.
Oh, you're a vet.
I wouldn't say that.
All right.
There's
All
no
right,
way to
well,
be a vet.
More of a vet than some of us in this room.
I've been in the trenches.
Okay, so for those of us that are still like plebeian and uninformed, can you let us know? Give us the actual breakdown of what Arisia is.
So a lot of other conventions are about waiting in line to meet famous people.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are a couple of like bigger names, like they get a couple artists every year, but it's not like
Lou Ferrigno.
you're not gonna find John Barrowman or like
You're not.
probably
I
not.
was hoping you'd sign my taint.
I
Captain
feel like
Jack,
the
you
biggest
beautiful
part
man.
of Arisia to a lot of people is the community behind it,
Yeah.
and a lot of the panels are about community building, and
true.
more about the fandom and the fans and getting
Mhm.
people to interact. There's a lot of cool panels for different things. Some of them are fan specific.
Mhm.
Some of them are just about building costumes. Or my favorite panel is a Rachel Kinley panel. It's positive representations of female sexuality in comic books.
Nice.
That is the name of the panel,
Wait, of female sexuality, not just of females.
of female sexuality in
Okay,
comic
okay,
books. And
you
it's
gotta
led
give me at least one
by.
example. Come on, if you can recall any.
Well, most of it was we were crapping on. It was a whole bunch of geeky feminists crapping on things.
man.
We pooped on the party.
Yeah.
All right. Just scary. Telling it like it is.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Beyond that too, there was this is my second one, and I really enjoyed it. I brought my son with me. You met him, and
Yep.
I just wanted him to experience something that was more fan oriented as opposed to the ones that I've started taking him to cons last
Right.
year, and then we Comic Con, those are commercial. You just literally had to spend
That's what the
money.
people want. Yeah.
And see your
Sponsored
fans
by
and
Red
stuff.
Bull is a bad.
Exactly. But he
Yeah.
enjoyed, for him, it wasn't his speed quite much. But again, I enjoyed the fan community. Like my second time going to this, I realized it was really about the fans and the fandom of everything.
Yes.
Some of the panels
Also
were
want to
very.
point out.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, not to cut you off, but also want to point out. You said that you brought your son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arisia is one of the conventions that really pushes that it's open
Family.
to all ages,
Yeah.
family oriented.
And actually, for those that don't know, mine was a kid in tow. So basically, kids are free as long as they don't go anywhere
Yeah.
outside of you.
Sometimes it's important to realize, like, sometimes you're not the number one fan. You're not the key
Exactly.
demographic.
It's a
you know what I
family.
mean? Like,
It's
oh,
a
I
family
was,
thing.
And one thing that
And
convention.
I think
Sometimes you can
just
sit on
wanted
the
to point
outside of
out-
it
I just
and
wanted to
enjoy.
point out what she said. Like she was really accurate about the panel just being like about almost anything that is fan oriented.
Yeah.
Like I went to one that was very interesting. Met JM there, and it was about harassment at cons or
Mhm.
just the whole situation. And it went from they addressed. I came in halfway through, but James was telling me they addressed various aspects of just harassment, like racial, sexual, even handicap, disabled people being harassed at cons, and just the process that they're taking to address the situations and
Stuff you don't even
sensitivity
understand at
training.
the time, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
probably that exists. Absolutely.
And this con is incredibly diverse.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite cosplays that I saw all weekend is I was sitting in the game room playing a group game with a bunch of children 10 years younger than me, which was strange. But my
They
favorite
must have been
cosplay
7.
was this maybe like 9-10-year-old kid who was a gender bent black Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad.
Nice.
His was the best Harley Quinn costume I saw
Nice.
all
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
He
Crazy,
had
huh?
he even had the gold cuffs. He was perfect. He was the best Harley Quinn
Right.
besides Baby Harley Bean, who's probably listening. So
Harley.
I'm gonna,
No kowtow.
I love.
But
But he was
Harley.
rocking it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and it's-
right on.
There's like a lot of people who are mobility handicapped, and they actually make it so that if you're in the masquerade, the costume contest, there's ramps backstage if you're an event performer who's mobility
It's
disabled.
up in their game for sure. Okay.
So it's incredibly diverse, and it's not about the person sitting at the table that you're paying $20 to take a selfie with.
Yeah.
It's about you.
You're right.
And just to reiterate too, it's super like it's super family oriented. Like there's these panels that are like serious, like I told you, the harassment ones. Then there's the one that I enjoyed the most, the 2016 TV show year in review. They just addressed some of the best TV shows that were out, why. And the discussion ended up being, it was just a great discussion about how who's producing better quality material.
Right. And did you think it was going to go there? Did you think that that's where the conversation was leading?
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be, some 4 or 5 people who just pontificate about how smart they are and how critical they are about everything. But
like, look what I made.
Back when I was watching Nova,
but it was really good because it was informative.
But then you got Donald Glover talking about like Atlanta or something. You know what I mean? Like, holy crap! You know what I mean? Like,
if you haven't seen Atlanta, watch Atlanta.
It's the greatest show on TV. Like,
excuse me, Rick and Morty. Thank you.
Okay, you might not be wrong, but you might not be wrong.
Just on top of that, like there's those serious panels, and there's panels for everything, GOT famous stuff. But then they also have the stuff for the kids, like like an entire day. My son wanted to do the Mario Kart Wii U tournament.
Of course he did,
and it was. I
mean, obviously, but that was the family lightsaber battle.
Oh my god, I missed that shit.
Lightsaber combat training.
So you're saying there's things that you could bond with your things you could bond with your children over.
Yeah, they would teach your kid how to beat the crap out of you.
We met Pat, and then Pat apparently got my kid into scimitars, and
I didn't get him into
What'd you do?
Okay.
What'd you do?
Pat comes in.
Nothing. I come in
people with this plastic
scimitar. My costume was bad. First of all, polyurethane, my brother. I paid money for that sucker. All right, I came in my costume. I had a gun harness on. I had my my knit night helmet. You all seen that before.
Chainmail tie, which is pretty cool.
And my chainmail necktie.
That's
pretty cool. I was an nice.
That was pretty cool.
You did look pretty slick.
Thank you.
I actually got an award
I love
for
you,
one
bro.
of my costumes.
No one gets the pun. What's up?
I got an award for one of my costumes.
Okay, fine. Go
That's
ahead.
never
Story
happened to me
y'all.
before.
For Arisia?
Yeah, I didn't enter anything because I'm an event performer.
Yeah.
And my first Arisia, I was there for press. I was there for Geek Beat Radio. So I don't.
Those suckers.
Yeah.
I know, right now. I don't have time to enter the masquerade or anything. I was supposed to cover the masquerade, which I watched from a hotel room with a beer in my hand.
Hey, that works.
But I was in the pool, which is my favorite part of Arisia. They actually do. There's a panel in the pool. There's a sea shanty sing-along that I accidentally ended up at.
You can play Super Duper Party Pooper in the pool. You may not want to.
Geek Beat Radio.
Please
Screw them.
I love that pool. Well, my favorite part is the pool because I know Pat knows, but you guys might not know this. Is I'm a mermaid. I'm a merdork.
I've seen it.
So I was mermaiding in the pool in a costume that's like sort of made and sort of bought.
Trying to picture.
And someone was like, you're cosplaying in the pool. You're waterproof. That's not gonna fall apart.
Yep.
And I got a ribbon.
The image is happening.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you kudos.
All right.
Yeah.
No, it's there right now.
All right. Well, also, we're talking about a lot of good stuff. There were a lot of problems at this year's Arisia too that like people have been addressing, and I think one thing that people are really starting to call attention to is the Arisia's been going on for a long time. There's a lot of regulars that have gotten used to it operating a certain way, and they've been making changes over the last few years. A lot of conventions have, but in the in the cases of like New York Comic Con, a lot of the outside ones, Connecticut, Katsucon, all those, they were bought out by different companies, and the management changed. In Arisia, I think it's just more of a generational shift. So you start getting people that do things different ways because it's not the same folks that were doing it 20 years ago. And that's caused a lot of turmoil. A lot of the complaints that I've been hearing right now, most recently, is it the Watchdogs, the Watchers, the Watch?
The Watch.
Just the Watch?
It's like the Night's Watch, but without the night. It's just the Watch.
The Watch. Okay, these are the security volunteers who basically make sure no one pulls any fast ones and shenanigans and hijinks that aren't on the up and up at the convention. And there was a lot of people that felt they were being harassed by them more than necessary. They were being called out and taken from places. And a lot of stories were legit. I'm not saying that it was all like, oh, there are people overreacting and stuff. There was a little bit of that. I remember one very passionate tirade by a guy who was complaining because his costume, which did seem harmless, they asked him to rein it in because it did take up a certain amount of room, like personal space, wherever he went. And they asked him if he could either take it down a bit or just
that goes against what that's about, though. Like
it does, but I understand
respect
like you have
the argument.
To a point.
Well, there are people that do like beautiful work. Like I remember girls who did costumes where they had like pneumatic wings, and the wingspan was about 15 feet.
Yeah.
But they also had it built so that they could compress that down. So you fold the wings in, and they can walk around. So when it's time to take pictures and stuff, bam, you hit those switches to pull those cords, and the wings spread out.
Yeah.
This was a guy whose costume couldn't compress itself. It wasn't that huge.
Yeah.
I got to look
So
at it.
basically, he was being an inconsiderate douchebag.
No, not even. But basically,
Kinda,
people were reacting that way. So it's like a lot of flared tempers, and I'm just like, this. Both sides of the situation seems to be generational.
Yeah.
It's the older folks who are there and used to
Well,
a lot more freedom in what you can actually do.
It's
and,
hard to be
rather
middle
than let you
ground
be-
nowadays. You know what I mean? You're either
But-
over the line
yeah.
or you're.
It is, and it's
But I think-
unfortunate because that's.
But isn't
it's
it about
giving it?
it's growing though? And I think it,
Oh, yeah.
I think they had like 5% more visitors this year than they did
Yeah,
previous
right.
year. So
No, it's always going to
and eventually they're gonna, outgrow the West End.
Well, what I've seen
maybe
there
they're gonna have to
is
change
one of
venues.
my reasons for, like I said, this is my first Arisia. I've been invited before
Yeah.
by people, not by the place. But one of my main hindrances was, conventions are. I go to things because I'm a fan. I just like the environment, and it's a sense of camaraderie. I'm there with people that I could be friends with if I actually knew them from whatever
Yeah,
walks
yeah.
of life we came from. And Arisia's been always been the one that seemed really pretentious to me because the people I knew that go there are always really into stuff and they take things just a little too seriously. And this is basically their club to go and hang out with their friends who are on the same wavelength. And I'm like, you know what? I like to enjoy things, and anyone who takes anything that deep, that serious, that like hardcore about every aspect of it might be a little out of my wheelhouse. And I'm like, I finally got peer pressured into going, and I'm like, maybe it'll be different. And I did see a lot of stuff that really felt welcoming, but I did see a certain amount of that which came out in the approach of not abuse, but the heavy-handedness of some of the watch. They were pulling people out of the lobby. We got a few looks when I actually got a tarot reading, which was freaking cool. But we did it in the lobby, and I got a couple of cats. There were a couple of cats who came up and kind of hung around a bit. They were watching, and you could tell they wanted to say something.
To you?
What was your
Yeah.
tarot card?
What were you doing? Too many dreadlocks or something?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, sir.
I
You're
know
too
that's
black
what
for
it
this
was.
lobby.
Well-
You look too brown for me,
Our very own
brother.
Amy Macabre told was approached about holding a quote unquote unofficial panel.
Oh, they were
Yeah,
like
because-
drinking and telling like Norse mythology stories in a bar, which is, I don't know if
That's
you
what
know,
you do
that's
in a
something
bar.
they know a lot
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess
Some
they were getting
bullshit.
too much attention, which is like,
You're
I
getting
would've
too
been
much
like, what are you,
attention. People
jealous?
like you too much, so we
Well,
got an issue with that.
I gotta say, I know
that's
that one of the reasons, I know some of the watch, and I know that at least the ones I know, I hope are cool.
Mhm.
I know some of them, and I got to talk to them about the increased presence this year was a big part of Arisia for those of us who don't have kids. Sorry.
Yeah, no
Is the parties, especially
Yeah.
if you're staying in the hotel. Like Barfleet has a huge presence there,
Really. Yeah.
and they're welcoming to
That's
people who
the-
are not Trekkies.
That's a
as
Star
well.
Trek themed bar night that they throw on.
And they do pub crawls.
Really?
It's not just at Arisia. Barfleet goes from like convention to convention. It's supposed to be like the dork party that doesn't stop. And there's a lot of registered
That's a
parties that are
hardcore
really
Trekkie,
cool.
I think.
Oh shit.
And there's a lot of parties that are unregistered that are kind of like Steven Universe raves or like theme. I've been to some really cool ones where they've set up like the inside of the TARDIS in a hotel room and served like sonic screwdrivers and stuff like that. But there are
Stuff
a
on
lot
two
of people
platforms,
who, when you go down to a panel at 7 or 8 in the morning and there's a guy still sleeping in the elevator.
Yeah.
Or trying to
Uh,
You had a good time.
People go pretty hard. And a
Yeah.
lot of these people do, they get
Pat.
kind of cliquey and they go to see their friends. And this is an environment where they can wear those costumes and know that there was people who take it seriously. So they really let loose.
Yeah.
But they don't really do this any other time except for.
Well, it's hard
at
to
this
let
con,
loose
so-
and then like pull it back at the same time. You
Just
know
to
what I
be
mean?
clear,
It's
this
just
is like
there's
just
no...
to be like super clear about it. It's a fantasy console. This is more
Yeah.
like I don't know, medieval oriented stuff, dragons, as opposed to like I didn't see too many Trekkies. I didn't see too many
There were so many Jedi. And
yeah,
as
the
a,
Jedi
as a
stuff.
Sith
so-
Lord,
Star Wars is
Yeah.
huge this year.
As a Sith Lord, I'm incredibly offended. I gotta say, rebel scum.
All right. Well, what
Awesome.
it comes down to is I enjoyed the panels. My favorite
Yeah.
part of the show was the art show that I went to. I saw some badass stuff. I got a bunch of
Nice.
cards. Saw some cool panels. There was a room where people were contra dancing in cosplay.
Nice.
So that was kind of wild. A friend
No
of mine was
way,
doing a
dude.
sword fighting demonstration. You could actually have actual sword fighting lessons right after the panel. So things like that happen. Just give final impressions about Arisia.
Yeah, listen, man. If you're into fantasy stuff, Lord of the Rings, etc., type of situations, pretty much anything that you can create a fandom based on, and go and enjoy yourself and bring your kids. You know, it's a family situation, and I don't think you should be, like Black Adam was saying, bro. Like, don't be a douchebag about your fandom. Just share the love and bring your kids and enjoy the environment, man.
That's
It's
it,
3
man.
days, and
Own it.
you don't have to pay for your kids to get in, which is even better, man. It's like one adult, or you bring your wife, 2 adult tickets, and then you bring your kids in tow. Just make sure they don't go around disappearing on you, and you're good. You know what I mean? I give it a 3
you
thumbs
set
up.
the example early too. You know what I mean? This is what fandom is. Own it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Enjoy it. You know what I mean?
I'd say
You gonna
if you're
learn
a
all these
geek
Run Warriors,
about-
or you gonna get beat.
Yes.
If you're a geek about anything, it's a pretty cool place to be. They have something for
Yes.
literally everyone.
Yeah.
And
there's
if
a reason you're
even
bringing
if you're
them
one
too.
of
You know
those
what I mean?
people
Yeah.
who I have a good friend who goes and they have serious ADHD. They
Yeah.
cannot sit still for a panel, and they go for the techno contra dancing and the geeky belly dance show and the game rooms, because there's 2 24-hour or
Game
one
rooms,
24-hour game room
Well, it's either you own it or
and
you
one
don't. You know what I mean?
12-hour game room or something.
It's like you present it to your kids, they either accept it or they don't. You know what I mean? You have to, acknowledge the fact that your kids are gonna take it in or they're gonna reject it. You know what I mean?
Very
That's
true.
that's all you could do as a parent too, I think, at some point. And if you're really gonna put yourself on the line and present yourself with hey, this is what I'm really geeky about. Hope you kids like it. You know what I
By
mean?
the way, son,
That's
I am
all
a
you
Jedi
can exactly
in real life.
Right. Son,
So they can either take
you gonna
it or
join
they can
Starfleet.
throw it back
I don't
in your
hear none of
face.
this Maquis business.
I gotta
All
say,
right.
I love the family cosplays.
Yes.
Yeah, I know,
A dog
some good
included.
ones.
But you know what? If your kid really loves you, he's gonna fake it anyway.
Uh,
I think
So,
my favorite,
it really
just
is true,
Quick
you know
shout
what I
out
mean?
to the lady who had the all-white German huge dog. It was like a German Shepherd mixed with something else. It's huge, but it had the it had the bear armor from the Golden Compass movie.
Oh,
It had
no
more-
crap.
so
badass.
badass.
That dog
Yeah.
had more cosplays than I had with me.
Wow.
That's
Because
awesome.
it was also, I think, the horse from Tangled
nice.
with the little iguana pet on the saddle. And we were talking to her, my partner and I, and she's like, "Yeah, next year we might go Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender."
Nice.
And he's
Appa
also
would
gonna
be
go as
badass.
that dude from Tango and Cash.
means
That
they're
was
gonna-
I was like, really, Kurt Russell's character?
You're
Yeah.
gonna fatten that dog way up. All right.
Oh,
my
so
final
good.
impressions on Arisia. I actually
we gotta go.
I had a decent time when I was with people. When I was kind of roaming by myself, I noticed a lot of the things that I was kind of stiff arming. But the reason I was stiff arming the convention in the first place. So it's just I think it's more about camaraderie. If you go with friends, you'll have a decent time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll go again, but I can definitely see the merits, and I can definitely recommend it if anyone was hardcore into it.
Yeah.
You might find something you love. Go with a couple of friends. Maybe just buy a day pass to try it out for yourself, and I think you'll have a decent
Don't
time.
go with Pat though. He'll have your kid buying.
Man, the hell with Pat,
scimitars
bro.
and
Okay,
I'm
okay,
trying to
okay.
be
Let's put that to rest right now. Okay, I mentioned what my costume was, and with that, I had my practice scimitar. It's a proper scimitar. This thing's actual proportion, and it's dope. All right. He grabbed this thing from me. He's like, "Yo, this machete's badass, man. You know what? I think I have enough money to buy this from you. How much you want for it?" Like, what?
Yeah, he did
No,
offer.
yeah.
Yeah, in retrospect, he did offer to buy it off you.
Yeah, what kind of mess is that? Although he did offer me about $200 for a $30 sword, so maybe I should have taken him up on it. I'm like, nah, your pops will have my ass on a sling. Let me not do that.
Yeah, when
I
it's
didn't
time for
beg
him
you
to
to
buy
come
his car,
to
we're
Arisia
like,
with
yeah.
me, but you didn't even come to my show at Arisia.
Hey,
so-
I saw you for 14 seconds. You were like, "Hey, Pat, good to see you. I got places to be. Peace, mama."
P, what up?
Yeah.
I was in a show with Amy, and then I did makeup for 3 other shows.
All right. Well, next time we'll make it happen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. This has been the Geek Down here on